Coming to you live from the Business RadioX studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by IDS, an award-winning digital marketing agency that delivers integrated marketing solutions for franchisors, franchisees, and franchise development teams. Learn why over 75 brands depend on IDS's team of dedicated marketers and client service professionals to deliver a strong ROI on their marketing investment. Go to idsfranchisemarketing.com for a complimentary digital audit and consultation.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Franchise Marketing Radio. Today, we're going to explore a story behind some success and strategies that drove it. And I want to talk to two very successful women in the fitness industry. First, I'm going to start with introducing Samantha Gorman. She's a multi-unit franchise owner. The brand is Fitness Premier. The other woman with us today is Kathy Mecklenberg, who also owns multiple franchises, but also plays the role on the corporate side of the brand as VP of Finance and HR. So that's an interesting balancing act, and we'll talk to Kathy more about that. But let me start with Samantha. I'm going to go left to right. No one can see us right now, but I can see you. So I'm going to do it that way. So anyway, Samantha, tell us a little more. I know age-wise, you're a little younger. And I think that's amazing to start early. And I know for me, I wish I did. I started a little later, and I felt like it was a harder adjustment when you're true to yourself, right? Like I'm a business owner. I want to be that, right? But you came to that earlier. I think you're around 24 or so. But tell us that story. How did how did that all come to be and make that decision to start business?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me today, first and foremost. Actually, I got started with Fitness Premier when I was around 20. My story is kind of interesting. I actually started as a part-time personal trainer at one of our locations that had just opened about a year previous to me arriving. And truly what brought me to the brand was the people inside of our company. I came in for, a couple of different interviews. I met with, at the time it was a different owner of one of the locations, and then our CEO and our vice president. And I fell in love with how welcome they made me feel. I felt like I was a part of the family from day one, and that truly just drew me into the club. And it made it so much easier for me to just dive right in and kind of fall in love with my career. And, eventually it evolved into something more, but it did start just with part-time work.
Yeah. I love when you describe that, because in my mind, and I, obviously I'm in the industry too, but I come at it from a different angle. But I feel like it's a family thing, like it is, like with a lot of brands. And they start smaller. They start with a few locations. A lot of times it is the founders that start the brand and from scratch. And that is a family feeling a lot, especially early on in that growth. And so that's cool to hear, but I'm glad that that's how you felt, right? Because that's how it is. And then I think over time it grows from there, but that's very cool. So from there to owning multiple businesses, but tell me a little bit how that leap went. Like, how did you decide in your mind that, hey, I can run one of these?
Well, it was definitely a learning experience and a process over time. I was a trainer, I would say, for about a year and a half. And then our CEO and VP came to me with a management opportunity. They were getting ready to open a new location, which at the time would have been our fourth location. And I guess they saw something in me that they thought would be good for management. So I ended up going and transferring to that new location when we opened. And it ended up being the first location that I franchised about 4 years later. Just went from a trainer into management, managed lots of different people, lots of different aspects of the business. And truly, like when I say I started learning from day one, like I never stopped learning, and I still am now. And I think that's so important because there was never a day where I was like, yes, I'm ready for this. Like I woke up today and I was ready to be a business owner. I think I just believed in myself, and I believed in our company so much that I knew they would provide me with the experience and the tools that I needed to ultimately be successful one day. And that's kind of what drove me to the decision to franchise ultimately.
Wow, that's really cool. I can sit and listen to what you're saying, and I think there's a lot of trust that you have in your brand, and I think that says a lot about the brand,
Yeah,
right? Coming
absolutely.
at it from right, like it takes effort to build a brand, and that for me, like the fruit of that is when you hear people talking like that, like I had trust that it just would work. Like because of what you've seen around you and the people around you and their confidence, and obviously you're around it, but still that's a big step, and congratulations on taking it. And what you're saying about always learning, that cool thing about franchising is you're not by yourself. I mean,
Right.
you still are a business owner. You have to have that sort of mentality of, I'm going to go make it happen. I'm going to learn it. I'm going to be accountable to it, right? Even though you've got a nice playbook right next to you, maybe so, like with a franchise brand.
Yeah.
But even so, you and I both know we have to just step up and say, stops with me, and that's learning, right? Especially in our world today, like it isn't given to you. You have to go find it. You have to go get it. Technology has always been that way for me. I always looked at it like, oh, it's a secret weapon no one's talking about. I gotta go learn that. And now it's like the AI thing is like that on steroids, and it's kind of crazy. But you do have to kind of just go to it and say, well, how will this help me? And I think that you have to do that even in a franchise brand where much of it is given to you in a framework or in training or in resources, but still there's more and it's always evolving. So great that you're always learning. So let's dive in. Let's talk to you, Kathy, a little bit about your 20 years with the brand. I know there's a longer journey, but maybe similar. And some of those thoughts. But how did you come about your decision, and how did that work for you?
At again, like you said, almost 20 years. I was a stay-at-home mom and a gym member, and I started as a part-time kids room attendant. And then went from there to the front desk, and from the front desk went to managing our club, which was the biggest club we had at the time. Did that for a couple of years, and then Jason came to me with the opportunity to come to the office. So, which was initially was very hard for me because I was leaving my members, and you see those people every day, and you just build bonds and relationships. So it was a hard decision, but ultimately it was the right decision. But then I came to the office and started working here in the office, and then we started opening more clubs, and then I was approached to be a small part owner of some of those clubs. So I was a small owner of some of those clubs, and then in 2017 we decided to start franchising. So we sold those clubs to Sam being one of them, to some of our current, managers, and they started franchising. So it was really cool to help build the franchise, with the guys. And then from there in 2019, I had the opportunity to start franchising myself. Had business partners obviously at the time, but now I have 3 locations. And but I also still work at the corporate office. So my challenge was I have to have a solid team because I'm not in my clubs every day. So that was the key point for me, is to make sure that I had those solid people there that could run my business, but obviously I'm still in communication with them every single day as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the one thing that's unique about us is, as a franchise, we are here to help them every step of the way. So I mean, even, like through COVID, for instance, I mean, gosh, if I was a business owner out on my own during COVID, I probably would have ended up shutting my doors because, I would have been lost and not known what to do, but
Yeah.
this franchise, we helped and guided them every step of the way to ensure that our business did survive.
Yeah. Well, and COVID was a huge testament to the franchise industry and all the
Yes.
innovation and teamwork and like collaboration, and we're all together. That's when you saw a brand really unify, which was amazing because that's kind of the point of franchising, right? But you don't want that kind of challenge.
Right,
Like,
exactly. I don't want to forget that.
we don't want to be challenged again. That was good though. See, it works. But I don't know if it did totally work for everyone, but it did work though. I mean, what I mean is it's as best as it could ever be. Like it was challenging, but
Yep.
it was as good as it could be being in a franchise brand at that time. So I saw a lot of those stories. We did a lot of interviews during that time, and we'd hear about new ideas and new products.
Yeah.
So I would ask you, maybe we'll get into that in a minute here. I do want you to tell the audience a little bit more about the club, the brand, and what makes you different. But I wanted to talk to you about families. I know you mentioned you have a family. Both of you have families. How do you view that? Just balancing that you guys are doing, like, you're owning businesses, you're running things, you're executives, you have families. What are your thoughts there? Like, coming at this from starting there and then moving into a career. How does that balance work for you? For anyone thinking about starting a business in that spot?
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting key point because again, I started so young before I had a family. And now I'm married and we have 3 young children. So it's definitely been a challenge to say the least. I think what's really important though is the people around you that support your dream, right? So I've always had to focus on keeping a solid team inside of the location so that when I physically couldn't be present there, due to my family, like I had someone that cared just as much as I did inside of the location, whether it was another manager or a trainer or a combination of multiple people that were working inside of the club. We always made sure to communicate with them like on a daily basis, keep our goals in alignment and make sure that they understood, my vision for my franchise, but also the vision of the company and that they were built and bought into, our vision as a company. So it really helped balance it out. So on the times when I couldn't be there, somebody was still there who cared just as much as I did.
So it takes the same skills, right? It's not, it might be some in someone's head, but it's just balancing your time, right? And leadership,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So that's really what it boils down to. And again, franchising gives you sort of that leg up. Kathy, why don't you share your thoughts? I mean, obviously you've been doing this longer though, like, so maybe
Yeah.
you're used to it.
Yeah. I mean,
But like, I'm
obviously,
thinking more, is it a barrier for people, do you think? Like, what are your thoughts?
yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit older than Sam. So my family was, older. But yeah, I mean, when I first started too, we weren't 24 hours yet. So there would be nights that my husband and my daughter would come into the gym and doing their workouts, and she would end up helping me clean the gym or whatever before we closed up, and then by the time I got home, she was in bed, so it is quite a challenge. But like she said, it's a matter of having that key team around you that is bought into as you are and understand your dream and your vision of everything to have your back.
That's what we all have to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can get buy-in of everybody around you, you can make it work. But it is so hard if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing I think I'm trying to hone in on is the mental games we play to become entrepreneurs, or even when we first become an entrepreneur or start something. It's never stops, does it?
Nope.
Yeah.
You'll play question, hey, if I buy 10 units, then maybe and now you're stretched again. It's like, well, I don't know about 10. I could do 3 or 4. Yeah. So I hear you. Now that's sort of the challenge is I think it's not so much execution of the plan, because that's done for you in many ways. You have to be accountable and learn, but it really is that head game where you second guess things that probably aren't there, right? Mm-hmm. If you really challenge the thoughts and look at the real data, what is the real reality? The real reality is just time management, getting buy-in, working hard. We all have to do it. Anyway, cool. All right. Well, let's talk about the brand. I know. Tell me, just if you, and maybe both of you could take a turn. We'll start with Samantha. Can you just tell me what makes you unique in your mind? Like, how do you embrace that communication with a member? And I know you also have some specialization in some programs that I think reach certain types of members, such as seniors, let's say. Tell me more about that in the context of what makes you guys unique, and more about your brand and where that comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let Kathy touch on a second about more of the special populations, because a lot of her clubs focus more heavy on that. But I will say when it comes to our brand, what it has always set apart, and it's funny because it's literally our tagline that says membership means more. But like I genuinely believe in my heart that like we just really do care about our members. And it starts with the very first initial interaction that we have with them, which is simple, just saying hello to them when they come through the door. Yeah. We get to know every single person by name, and ultimately then we know about their family and what's going on in their personal life. And we try not to let it just be a facility where they come in and swipe a key tag and go about their day. Like, we're going to pry a little bit, we're going to be in this with you. And we make that very apparent to them. Like I will literally tell someone when I'm selling a membership, like, hey, this will not be the only time you see me. Like, I'm going to possibly even annoy you a little bit because I want you to know that I'm here with you, like I think fitness is not something that people can do alone. And I think there's a big misconception out there that like it's all about you and, fitness is all about yourself. But truly, fitness is about community and feeling supported in your goals and having accountability. And I think that our brand really specializes in holding people accountable to what they come to us for. And I will say, like, hands down, that I believe that's what sets us apart from any other fitness center out there.
I don't think business should be done alone either.
Yeah.
I think that was an amazing thing to say. But I think that's the correlation is similar. Like trying to, again, it's a mental game too. Like fitness is big time a mental game. I mean, I just think of myself. Like I think I played some games yesterday about my hike and the route I was taking and how hard it was. I think I'll do the quick one. But yeah, so to me, there is a parallel there. So you were talking about that. So let's dive a little bit again, Kathy, your take on what's unique about the brand and a little bit about the special populations. I want to make sure we talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, like she said, I mean, being in the club, if I didn't see a member for a while, that was there regularly, I would pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, Sally, how are you feeling? Is everything okay? Saying the highs and the goodbyes to people is, you don't realize how much that goes, means to them. And then when you throw their name in there too, they're like, oh my gosh, they really do know me and they feel special, And I mean, walking into the gym to buy a membership is one of the hardest things for a lot of people to do. It's very intimidating, because they have this image of what a gym is. So
they come to us very vulnerable.
Yes, very, very, very vulnerable and not even knowing what to do, kind of thing. And so those are the people that we really have to guide and really help. And like she said, we do pry a little bit. We do really get to know them, you know what I mean, to help them along their journey. But then like in my clubs, one of my clubs in particular is very, very heavy senior based. And I have a phenomenal trainer down there who, she's like that too. If she doesn't see them on their scheduled day, she's picking up the phone and calling them, trying to figure out what's wrong, what can I do, but she's also very knowledgeable in all the different ailments and health issues and things like that, we all unfortunately end up, getting. So she helps them, and guides them, in their recoveries of whatever that may be. But, we also have senior based classes as well as just one-on-one trainings. And, yeah, you got to love these people. I mean, they are very, very, very diligent people.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just thinking as you're talking, and I when you say seniors, I also work in the senior market too, and as a marketer and stuff. And so I'm not directly serving seniors, but I'm representing companies that do. And it's an interesting marketplace. I'm learning more about like just the number of people that are growing older, that are single. You think, well, all the ailments and all the fitness is still important, but then you need that connection too. Yep. Like, where are we getting our connections?
It's a community.
And when I talk to franchise brands a lot, I don't, and I'll make anything. I mean, if it's a physical building where I can go talk to human beings, I think it's like, there's something there now. Like there's something to think about here. Like the environment we produce, the relationships, this is a part of people's lives. And I think it should be more, in other words. Like I think in the last, say, 30 years, and maybe I'm going back even into my experiences, but I felt like the gym was, hey, go get fit, we're going to go achieve goals. And it was just that. And it was like important, but not like I think it could be now. And so when you have those groups like seniors or other types of group, maybe it's athletes, certain types of athletes, who knows? But if you can zero in on community and groups within the community, I think that's important. And that's an important part of your business model. So I commend you for thinking that way, because I think that will be the difference.
Yeah.
Because the machines and the techniques and everything you can provide is sort of part of it. But it's really that, what do you guys provide, right? The relationship, the high and the buy, and the calling me literally. I've never had that happen. But wouldn't that be interesting? Like if you called me and said, Rob, what's up? Like you haven't been here. that would matter to me. That would be really cool. Like that would touch me, like indirectly,
Yes.
where I would feel connected to you guys, which is awesome. Because I think we need this. We need brands to think of it that way too. It is about business, which I kind of want to jump into and segue into. So that's for anyone who doesn't know the fitness business. Can you help them understand? I mean, obviously, when you made these decisions to become a business owner, I could tell a lot of the reasons why to help people and make an impact in the community. Tell us about the business side of it, though. How do you look at that? What makes fitness businesses unique? And how did you evaluate the financial side of things?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Yeah, this is a particularly tough industry, I would say. And I think any person inside of it would agree. To be fully transparent, like, again, I was super young and I was really relying on like the trust of my mentors around me. So, and again, I had no like background in finance or anything like that. So I was solely like learning a lot from Kathy, to be completely honest. Like she mentored me through basically any financial training that like I needed. And she still does. So, when it comes down to like learning the actual ins and outs of like the business and the financial aspects of it, again, we are super lucky, like to be in this franchise because they do provide all of that support for us, where like any person could come in that, really doesn't have that business experience, and we're going to teach them how to learn, how to grow, and like how to be successful in it. So for me, I think that was the biggest deciding factor. Like I knew nothing about finance, but I had a team around me that was willing to teach me the ways and like what was important, what to look for, trends to, be aware of, historical data, all of that stuff is provided to us so that we can make smart future investments, and so that we can also, respond proactively versus reactively, which I think is the most important part in this industry, is seeing things that are coming down the pipeline and then making calculated decisions before they actually come.
Wow. Well, that's a very strategic thought. Like you wouldn't even be there if you didn't have great support and great training. So that's I mean, if you're in a business and you have some type of forward plan and can anticipate a bit, like that means that's good stuff. That's good. So like, I'm glad you said that. But so like the model of fitness, maybe Kathy, you could help us. Like, I think of it as a residual model, right? I think of it as you build a community of members. So it's a membership model, but in the physical world. Maybe talk a little bit about like, how do you see that sort of model evolving? Because you've got like memberships can mean a lot of things, right? And you guys really are at the center point of people's fitness. So I would guess there's maybe thoughts about how do you increase membership? How do you keep members longer? I guess those are the things, but what are you looking at, and how does that sort of business side work, if you could help people understand?
Yeah, I mean, getting the members is, I shouldn't say the easy part, but I mean, when somebody comes to a gym, they come to a gym wanting to join, so getting the member is, signing that membership agreement, but it's everything after that is the plus, building the relationship with them, getting them involved in, service if they need. We have Group X classes, we have one-on-one trainings, we have group trainings. Another thing that we're launching in our clubs right now, I'm doing construction in one of mine at this moment, is we call them relax and restore rooms. This is a huge area that is very popular right now. So it has a sauna, it has massage chairs, it has
compression boots.
I'm putting a salt chamber in my location, so all these kind of things to help with that wellness, which is just huge right now. In every generation. It's not just the young kids, it's not just the old ones. It is everybody who is interested in this extra care. So,
well, I think it helps too, like having, like, everyone has a niche, right? And I think especially when it comes to fitness, like, sure, they may come into the gym for a membership, but ultimately, like, they're interested in a specific part of fitness, whether that's cardio or strength training or Zumba or group training or just strictly holistic health and wellness. Our clubs are now becoming fully equipped to offer some type of membership or amenity to any type of niche that you could possibly think of in the health and wellness umbrella. So I think that that's a big part of like what sets us, different as well too.
Yeah.
I think I love it. I I've been on and off gym member, and one of the key things I started to gravitate towards the big ones that had
Mhm.
everything. And that was why, because they had all these things, but I didn't necessarily want the big either, like the one style. Like I just wanted to go work out and be able to have a sauna. Like if you
Yeah.
didn't have the
Yeah.
sauna or the hot tub or the this or the that, I did. So I think that, and I know there's a lot of new science, but like you talked about salt and there's all kinds of cool
Yeah.
stuff to make you feel better. And like I'm in my 50s, so I try to work out a lot. I go outdoors a lot, and I want to stay feeling great.
Yeah.
And so I would be very attracted to anyone that could help me with that, like an edge for an older
Right.
person, you know,
Right.
to protect me, to make it more enjoyable, and just to allow me to do it for the rest of my life. That's the other
Mhm.
thing too. Like I think fitness for older people, mid-aged people, I think it's like I don't want to just do this now. I want to do this
Right.
forever. I
Right.
never want to get out of the habit again. I've been in the habit about 8 to 10 years now of staying in shape. And man, I don't ever want to lose that. And I
Right.
know that I need the help of professionals eventually. I've been putting it off, but it's good to have that. So, talk to the community. Like I know we talked about the model a little bit there, and I think that attracts a lot of different categories of people. What do you guys do, like in terms of other businesses or other initiatives in your community that you care about? Is there other ways you interact with businesses or the community? Tell me a little bit about how you view that.
Yeah, well, I think you just touched on a really important part in what you just said previously, that like you want a gym that has like big box amenities, but you don't want a big gym, right?
Yeah.
Which is literally like our specialty. So we do focus on smaller markets. That's like our niche. We want to star in every small town in America, basically. But that comes with building that community inside of those small markets. So we do a lot of business to business relationships, whether, we are in the Chamber of Commerce in all of our locations. We're actively working with other business owners in the community. We do corporate memberships. We do partnerships with them
Mhm.
where, like, let's just say, for example, we have a physical therapy office. We'll do a partnership with them. When someone completes rehab, they'll send them to us for the next steps of their program. We do a lot of community events, 5Ks, parades, literally anything that you can think of that's happening inside of these small
Yeah.
communities. We are typically out there setting up tables and getting to know people and just getting our name out there. And it has proved to be like really beneficial for us.
Yes.
When it comes to building our name and our brand inside of these communities, because even if they don't ultimately become a member, they still know who we are, and someone will ask them, hey, do you know of a gym locally? And they're going to say our name because they met us because we were out in the community, with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that for most brands I interact with, there's two sides to that community interaction, I think. And one is the fulfillment of being part of your local area, like really making a difference. Like, okay, you did a 5K. I think that's awesome. Like you plan a 5K, it's good for people, it's good for anyone participating. It probably is raising money or something. I don't know, awareness. But what a cool thing to be able to do as a business owner. Like,
Mhm.
I think that's important to point out that these kinds of models give you that opportunity. So the other side is, of course, I would assume referrals potentially, or groups of people, like where you have maybe an association or maybe a big employer where you could maybe give a special deal. I don't know. I'm sure you're working these things with different communities, right? And I just think that's an amazing opportunity. But did you have anything to add, Kathy, about how you guys look at the community and interact with it?
Yeah, I mean,
Either way.
I think she nailed it on the head. We are also in several of our locations, like our group training. We work with the local fire departments, and we go to the fire department and teach a class at the firehouse for them, as long as they have the equipment in there. One of my locations, one of the big banks approached us. They had put this huge facility in their bank for their employees to, work out and things like that. So we would go to the bank and teach classes for them, for the employees, and things like that. So yeah, we're open to doing so many different things, but that, like she just said, build the relationship with these people. And like when we went to the bank, for instance, we got all those families now to come over to the gym, and they join the gym, and things like that. So it's building the community of these members.
So I want to make sure I get this out there because whenever I think of fitness or restaurants, some retail, I think of how would I ever do that? Like if I wanted to start a business, right? I think a lot of people think that right now.
Mhm.
They're like, how did you guys do it? Like, how would you afford that? Like, is that doable? Because you walk into a gym, you're like, man, and I know you're smaller gyms, but still, it's a nice thing.
It's
It's a nice
similar,
building. How
yep.
do you afford the things you just said for those amenities? How does that work? Can we just a simple answer? To anyone who's wondering that might have the ambition, the skills, has maybe some funding, but maybe just doesn't think they have anything close. So like, how does this work? Like, can you give someone a sense for how you would get started and maybe encourage them that it might be doable?
Yeah. So we have discovery day. We call them discovery days here at the office where we have, people who are interested. So they come and they learn about us. We have people who have the cash up front, but maybe have no business knowledge. So again, that's where our corporate side team really helps and guides them. Our thought process is we want them to focus being in the gym and building the business from there. We'll take care of everything on the backside. We pay your bills, we pay your rent, we, monitor your income for you, we do your payroll for you, all those things. We set up vendors for you. We do all that so that you can focus inside, building that brand, and we'll help you take care of the backside. If they don't have the funding, we have lots of different references and avenues to help guide them to get the funding that they may need.
Yeah, and that's from my experiences. There's a lot of ways. So anyone who has the ambition should reach out, and we'll get to that later where they can reach out. But so I wanted you each to maybe share a success story of some kind, something that touched you either business wise or just from a relationship. It can be anything, an impact to the community, an employee, achievement you made personally for your business, anything you each want to share that comes to mind. It could be either business or more of an impact to a relationship in the community.
I'm going to go, I have so many from, over the last 10 years, like things that have truly, truly touched my life in a lot of different ways. But I will share, I had a client who came to me. He was severely overweight. He was struggling. He was having multiple seizures a day, just a lot of health issues. And he kind of came to me in a very lost place. And he was like, my doctor said I need to exercise. I have no idea what that looks like. Can you just help me with anything? And we started working together. And that was back in, oh, geez. I mean, he's been my client for like 9 years now. And he's, still with me to this day. But at one point, he wrote me a letter that said, like, you literally saved my life. And he was like, if it were not for you, I don't even know if I would be alive today. And to me, as someone who's always been people focused, right? Like I never like have been solely sold on just being a business owner. Like it's always been people first to me. That changed my life in a lot of ways because it made me realize like what I was doing was truly making a difference. And some people think of fitness as just something small, but like we genuinely saved this man's life. And I was able to be a part of that. And it has carried me through a lot of the hard times of being a business owner. Like when things get really hard, whether it be financially or COVID or anything like that, the struggles that we face, I always think, okay, well, what's my ultimate end goal? And my ultimate end goal was to help people and make them better. And I can say, wholeheartedly that I've been able to do that and that my job has allowed me to do that.
That's awesome. I'm gonna let you jump in, Kathy, and have a comment.
Yeah, I mean, like she said, it's a lot of the relationships that we have built over the years. Back when I first started, I had these two older men come in, want a membership. It was the hardest membership I've ever sold in my entire life. It was about an hour process. But by God, I got them. But anyway, from there, it was just this relationship that, they came in, you knew what day they came in 3 days a week, what time they were in there. If they weren't in there, again, I was concerned because they were seniors and they obviously had health issues, but one of them has now since passed away, and myself and, we went to the funeral, the whole shebang, because that's just how he was like a grandpa to me. You know what I mean? It wasn't just a gym member, it was a family member, and the other one now, is in a nursing home, and but even when I left the gym and went to the office, they would drive to my office and take me to lunch, that kind of thing. So it's, those two men I will always remember for my entire life.
That's
So
awesome.
it's building the relationships. Like you said, it's not always about all just the dollars and the business. It's how we have impacted other people's lives.
It's interesting, that relationship. I have a couple views on it. Like, people first, I think, should be a presidential slogan. But I think it better be the slogan of capitalism here soon. Because, you do have to, I think people are first, right? Technology is getting so big now. And that's where my comment comes from. I think that's where we're headed, is people first. We're headed to focusing again on that, being more importantly focused on it. And what does it mean to have someone say hello and goodbye, and to know you, and to feel like you changed their life, because you can. Like, we think, oh, it's just a business, it's just a fitness center, or it's just a restaurant, or it's just this, it's just that. It's our platform to interact with people first. So I think that's important. The other side of it, though, is you have to have a great business to be able to do that. In other words, like, I always think of brands like Apple, and think of, like, their products, whether you use them or not, they're high quality. No one would say they're not high quality. Their packaging is extremely high quality. That's what they project. Of course, everything is priced accordingly, but at the same time, it's high quality, and they spare no expense. So I think there's a balance, right? To saying, I'm a business owner, so we need to fund this well, so we can provide that level of service that we know we need to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important lessons to be learned. Before I wrap things up, I wanted to give you guys both a chance to share maybe a trend and a tip. Okay. So maybe a tip or advice for anyone, or particularly we could focus on women, if they're thinking of starting a business, right? Or potentially franchises. If you have some advice on that, maybe something you now know that you didn't know. And then anything you see coming down the pike, like we kind of alluded to it, but if there's anything you wanted to add on the trend part, right? Whether it's technology or just new healthcare breakthroughs, anything you see happening with the industry in the coming years. So tip and trend. I'm going to test you both. Let's see how you do, but you each get a shot at that, and we'll go ahead and let you guys answer.
Yeah, I think a tip for me is, and it's kind of been like my resounding message this whole time, is really just to utilize the people around you to help you get better. And in return, you're going to help them get better too. Don't be afraid to fail. I know that sounds very generic, but it is so true. If you want to be a business owner, you have to be willing and able to fail a million times over. And then the most important part that comes out of that is what you take away from that failure and what you learn through that experience. So don't be afraid to fail, but always be encouraged to learn is my biggest piece. And then use the people around you to help you learn. A trend that I see coming, I think we're starting to dip our toes into it as a society, is really just like holistic health in general, like this like biohacking and wellness status. I think people now more than ever are concerned about their health in a lot of ways. Or are at least interested in learning more about health. And I think that there's a lot of regenerative like medicine and wellness amenities that are coming down the pipeline that people should be on the lookout for.
Excellent. Great answer.
My tip is, a lot like hers, but don't be afraid to, if you have this dream to want to do this, but maybe you don't have the cash or you don't have the knowledge, don't be afraid to inquire about it and see if, you can make it happen.
Yeah.
If you have the dream, pursue it. There's always a way to make it happen, whether it's financial, whether it's that you don't know anything about running a business. Well, guess what? We taught her how to run a business. You know what I mean? So it's, if you have the passion, go for it. And we will help you find a way to do it. And then obviously the trend, again, like she just said, it's the health and wellness. It's, all all the holistic stuff that is coming down the line. We're just tipping our toes in it right now, putting things into the gym. So I know there's going to be many more things to come down the pipeline here in the future.
Well, no doubt. I mean, being so steeped in this AI type stuff and all the parallel technologies that are happening, our awareness of healthcare will be very high. We'll know what we need to do. And I know you guys will be at the forefront of helping with those tools, right? And some will be wearables, like people have things. So like I think, where do you go and deal with that is they go to you. But there'll be more awareness. There'll be more ways of seeing exactly where am I and what do I need to work on. So I just, I see nothing but reasons to want to be part of a fitness community. Right. And I think it'd just be more and more interesting. And you'll be always present, like your device or something will be like the iPhone.
We wear a lot of hats.
Yeah. But anyway, that's really cool. Like in terms of getting a hold of you guys, websites and things, what would be a cool way? I mean, you guys are franchise owners. There's obviously a main way to reach out to the brand and talk about an opportunity, but I don't know if you want to share how to get a hold of you guys, especially if there happens to be anyone local to closer to where you guys are. But if you want to share how best to reach out to you and whether or not you would give any input or advice to anyone thinking about pursuing an opportunity or not. But anyway, share your website or anything that you think might help. That would be great.
Yeah, of course. Our website is www.fitnesspremierclubs.com. And there's a contact page on there where you'll be able to, submit, an inquiry, and our corporate office will make sure it goes to either of us. You can also find me on LinkedIn. If you look up Samantha Gorman, I'm constantly on there. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have. So that's how you can also find me, and then Kathy as well, too.
Yep.
Yes, and that is verified, folks. I did double check the LinkedIn, and she is there. Kidding. But I always look at LinkedIn, right, so I can learn more. Anyway, well, that's good. All right, well, thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure. I think the conversation was amazing. I appreciate you both being here today. Again, thank you to the audience. We appreciate you tuning in and listening to these stories. But again, changing communities, one business, one brand at a time. I think franchising is an amazing place. So thank you again for being here. I hope to have you back again soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
You got it.